lecture will definitely enlighten you the most important what we required of the today in this the day entitled on the publication of research findings. We all know that everyone is working in the laboratory. Even we used to work for 26 hours, borrowing 2 hours from the next day, and day and night, and we used to gather the data, the scientific data from the test tubes and then from the machines and etc. And we used to have the bombardment of the data in our the laboratories. Only thing what we have the lacuna is the publication. We never find that good publication from our the findings of what we have done in the laboratory. That's why I wanted to stress more on the apart from our regular research in the laboratory, and we have to work for the publication also. So then only our input will goes to the entire arena of the bioscience group. So the publication is most important for that. Number one, for I think is very much essential for to entry into the academic world, entry into the research career, and then it has the also a license, a passport for the basic entry into the higher education institutions for the appointment either as the assistant professor or any other the upgradation of the career in their life. And then also nowadays the UGC has been made it as a mandate for the even for the PhD the submission it requires the publications once after entry into the either the university or college. We need to move for a next career in our the career advancement. For that also it required a minimum number of the publication, and then not only that we also required for getting the projects, the scientific projects to the scientific agencies, extramural funding agencies, that also it is essential. And then also it required not only for the individual the development of the our career and then also entry into the research, it also for the institution. For the institution, the first one I would like to mention here is for every the NAC assessment and accreditation process, the publication is very much important. And then next now I think the UGC MHRD has been focusing more on the NIRF ranking among the higher education institutions, who has been also have been taking the top in the ranking process. For that process also we require the publications. And then in addition to that, the lot of the other agencies working in the engineering aspects, engineering and technology, or also they require the publication in the NBA, the grading process. And altogether we required not only for that and also as a whole of the university or the college where we are working, and then to get the status in the UGC, and then get the status in the among the higher education institutions, to attract the stakeholders, here, the students, parents and alumni. Altogether it will focus more on the what we are required is the publications. And so as a whole, in a nutshell, the publication is very much essential. The publication should be either in terms of a book or a journal or a conference proceeding or finally a patent. So the publication of the research finding is paramount for every individual of our status in the who have been doing active either in the research or in the academic profession. I think here I would like to share that some of the slides here. The first one, I have a great opportunity to release some of my publications with the help of the scientist, the great engineer and technocrat, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. So among the 25 books which have been published, and 3 of my books have been published by the former president of our India, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, and then also the governor of the Tamil Nadu, Dr. Rosaiah, and then for which Nearly 3 to 4 books have been awarded both nationally and internationally, and you could see that down the pictures that I got the best book award from the government of Tamil Nadu as consecutive of 3 years for the release of the books which have been related to my own area of the research. So altogether the publication. So a scientific experiment is not complete, which I mentioned in my introduction, until the results have been understood. Until the results have been understood and published, not the data to be accumulated in our notebook, not the data to be accumulated in our personal computer, not accumulated in our cell phones. So a scientific experiment is not complete until the results have been understood and published. So here a scientific paper is a written and published report, a report or a document describing the original research results. So what is scientific writing? I think my topic will be in a three focus area. The first one will be how to write the publication, what are the requisites for writing a publication, number one, and then how to next is the selection of our journals to publish, and third one what we have to do in careful when we are going for the publication. So I think my lecture will be in the three phase. The first phase of this the publication is the how to write a paper, how to write a scientific publication. So the purpose of the scientific writing is to communicate. So is to communicate among ourselves or those who have been working in the peers of our research, the findings and the arena. So it has to be whatever the scientific writing we have been exerting, that it will be clear. It should be clear. It should be simple and well ordered communication to transmit new scientific findings. So whatever we have been observing in our laboratory should be in a document, and that too, that document or the report in the form of a publication should be clear. It should be clear to everyone who are reading our paper. It should be very simple and well ordered in that. I will bring to what are the orders to be keeping in the publication. So the scientific writing must be in a proper English. So I think the effective way to communicate is a proper international language. I think the English. So which gives the sense in the fewest the short words. So they come to the point of the origins of the scientific writing, when it started. So don't think that scientific writing had been started very recently or in this century or late after 1980s and so on. But it has been started long back, even century before. It started from the cave paintings. Cave paintings and inscriptions were the first attempts to leave the records, and we have been identified. Even the Keladi of our nearby region, with the archaeological specimens which have showed that the lot of the scientific findings, and I think School of Biological Sciences have been taking the job and they are bringing to the world arena of what they have done in that. So it's all based on what they have written earlier in the cave paintings and the inscriptions. Then late after 2000 BC, and the first the papyrus paper was used as a medium of the communication. So that was the first they started. Then after 190 BC, a parchment made was animal skin. They used the animal skin as a paper as a mode of the communication which came into use. Then after the 105 AD, the Chinese who are the first, they invented the paper. They invented the paper of the communication in the form of a scientific writing. After 1100 AD, the Chinese again invented the movable type of the paper. So this paper can be carried along with the human. And late after 1455 AD, the Gutenberg printed the 42 line first the Bible from movable type of on a printing press. That was the first of the printing material. Then after the 1500, thousands of copies I think they started the booking of the same the Bible in the form of a incunabula that also printed, and late after 1665 the first scientific journal were published. So these are the various the origins of the scientific writing, which starts from the cave paintings to I think recent of our publication. So what is the publication way in which we have to write? They mention that is Imrod. Imrod is story. That means Imrod means I for introduction, M for methods, R for results, and D for the discussion. So these are the first way of the expression of the scientific writings. So early journals published mostly in the descriptive, in a textorial form. I think still we have been using for the case reports, and then also for the review articles and so on, including the geological survey. Then late after the second half of the 19th century, because of the reproducibility of the experiments become a fundamental principle of the philosophy of the science, we have elaborated our mode of the communication in the Imrod way. So next we have given importance to the methodology of the publication. So that means the methodological section, that is a methodology section which become important since after the Louis Pasteur confirmed the germ theory of the disease. So that was the fundamental one, and he published the methodology of the germ theory through the methodology way, and it has been become published. And then so Imrod organization of a scientific writing of a paper started to develop slowly after 19th century. So here the format is progressed in late after 1900. It developed well in the communication. So what are the communication ways? So how the importance of the language point? So I think we have to stress more on that. Poor experimentation. See, the poor experimentation cannot be masked by brilliant writing. So poor experimentation cannot be masked by brilliant writing. However, poor writing can mask brilliant experimentation. So poor writing can mask brilliant experimentation. So what we have to require in the scientific writing, avoid complex sentence. The too much of the complex phrases should be avoided. It should be in a simple structure form, in a way, and then use simple and clear English. Always keep in mind that the paragraph is the essential unit of the thought. So I think whatever our publication, we have to give it in a paragraph so that the readers can understand what we are given in our publication. So what is the paradigm of the research? So as mentioned by our Abdul Kalam, you dream it. Before going for any experiment, you have to dream it. You have to think about what is the objective you are going to carry out of a particular work. That is a dream. And then next, based on the dream and objectivity of your work going to do in the experiment in the laboratory, you have to design it. How to design it and how many replications. I think this is most important for that. Now I think present generation, they never design for the experimentation. In earlier those days we have to do a particular experiment triplicate in 4 times, 3 times, and even sometimes we used to work many times to get the concordant values of the results. So we have to design the experiments in a way that I think statistically our findings should be proved way that in the particular concept or the particular system, and then it will be a good discovery. The later designing of that one, we will have a discovery of our own experimentation, and then we have to deliver what we have been discovered in our experimentation in the laboratory, and finally all together it should be goes to the peers of scientists and the readers in the form of a publication. So here what we require is the creativity innovative, that is most important. So here creativity is fundamental attribute of science, any science, or the biological science or chemical, physical, whatever the science, so which is driven by the what the curiosity. So why we require the writing and publication? As I mentioned in my introduction, it required, I think all the participants, I think you must know that why we required. It is very, very important. I think those days we enter into the classroom, we used to teach. That is the only work we used to do. But now I think we have to work and then 50% teaching, and then also we have to do the 50% the research, and then research in terms of the output, that is the publication. So for requirement of the graduation starts from that, we require publication. Number two, as I mentioned, for the CAS promotion we require, and then to get the reward and award we require publication, and then I think we have to get the recognition among the peers of the scientists among who are working in our field, that is to be based on the publication, and then to disseminate whatever the knowledge we have gained in the experimentation in the laboratory, that will go to the public. So altogether it is very, very important for the individual way that we required. As I mentioned, for the research publication is also required for, I think, for the NAAC and NIRF. In the NAAC, I think you might have studied, or you would have been observed that there are 7 criteria is based on the accreditation of the institution. One of the criteria of the assessment or the accreditation of every higher education institution is the research, consultancy and extension or the innovation. So this is a third important the parameter, or we used to say always the criteria is the research component. So all the institutions will be looking for the research, the output in terms of the publication. So what normally when we used to go to for the NAAC accreditation, we used to call for all the publication of the individuals. We used to calculate how many publications are from the individual, and then collectively how many publications they have in the department wise, and then how many publications they have as a whole of the college or the university. So and then we used to calculate some of the indexes of the publication, citation, and then and so on other parameters that I will come to the next the phase of the lecture. So here the maximum point they are given by the NAAC is the publication. So here the evaluation, if you want to have a outstanding, if you want to get A plus, or minimum A high grade, what we require is the publications. So that's why I used to always stress for every person who are working in a higher education institution, every year at least you must have a minimum of 3 publication from a standard, the referred, and then Scopus or ISI, the journals we must record. Then only we will be given a highlight to the among the scientists in the world in the institution. So I think the evaluation is based on the number of publication, point number 1 in the NAAC. Number 2, nowadays the MHRD has been given the ranking, the NIRF ranking for the higher education institution. Even for this, one of the parameter is the research and professional practice. I think all our colleagues in the university, they might have, I think they must know all those things, that one of the important point is the combined metric for the publication. They are calculating how many publications you have individual, as a whole department, as a whole in the college or the university. Based on that, they are assessing the research and professional practice, that is called the RP in the NIRF. Again, there is a grade. And the number 2 is a combined metric for the quality of the publication, not mere the number of the publication, but they are looking for the quality of the publication. At that point I will come you later. So these are the 2 important, I think, point. I think the institution, they are looking for the research evaluation through the NAAC from, and then NIRF is only based on the publications. So I think we are going to see the deep. I think earlier we have seen that why it is required. Now what do you mean by the publication? So the publication is the final stage of the research, and therefore the responsibility of all the academicians, whether he is an assistant professor or associate professor or a professor, a scientist, a pool scientist, or any researcher, I think publication is the final stage, and that will speak you X or Y the caliber. So the scholarly publication, so the quality publication are expected to provide a detailed and paramount record of the one's own the research, either the individual or the institution. And because of the publication, from the basis of both the new research and the application of the findings, they can affect not only the research community but also indirectly it should be a benefit to the society. So always we used to stress that the publication should be honest. It should be honest. It should be clear. It should be accurate. It should be a complete and should be balanced and should avoid misleading. So publication should not be a confusive statement for the readers or those who are following our work. So it should be, I think again the publication should be of not, it should be ambiguous. So it should be of a clear, the transparent of the findings. So the journal editors normally they have the responsibilities to look into all the parameters, bring the material or bring the content in a effective way to the larger extent of the readers in a professional way. So next, where to publish? We know the concept of the publication and where to publish. So the publication should be either in scientific journals, and then second is in the conferences and workshop, and again after the publication, not the abstract. So after the presentation, it should be as a compendium of the conference proceedings, posters and talks. Altogether it could be in a script way. And then the publication, you can publish it in a book chapters, and collective of the book chapters it will be a books, and then technical reports, and then seminar presentation, and then altogether if you want to go to the real to the lab to the land, we require the popular science magazines, popular articles. So these are the some of the informations where you can think of your findings to publish. But what we require, where to publish? So there are the levels of the step by step the levels. So you, as I mentioned, you can publish in the conference as proceedings, and you can publish in the non-indexed journals. There are some journals it has been not indexed in any of the in the indexed the volume, and then finally the indexed journal. I think the level of the difficulty is high, goes to the indexed journals. So normally the indexed journals have a high reputation than the non-indexed and the conference proceedings. So what is mean by the scientific journals? So the publication in the scientific journals are the most effective to inform the scientific community about your work. So what you have been working in your laboratory, in the botanical research, in the zoological research, or in the biochemistry, microbiology, molecular biology, or genetic engineering, or genetic, any of your area of the research, and effectively to inform the scientific community of your work, what you have been doing in the work in the laboratory. So the scientists are the most important productive outcomes, and it should be of the hiring, tenure for promotion altogether the benefit. So it's rely on what the publication rely on the anonymous review by the peers of the scientist. Whatever we submit for the publication, it should be reviewed. It should be reviewed by the anonymous reviewers, not our own friends, not our own lab friends, not our own teachers. It should be reviewed by the anonymous reviewers, and then only our output will be in a limelight. So it may be sometimes in those days when we submit for the publication to an editor, it may take long, even 1 year, sometimes 2 years. It may, because of the correspondence and etc. of that in those days. I think those days all have been now paused, and then we are now in the electronic field. I think now I think we can publish at any time in a quick and shorter time. So it may require several serial submissions in those days. Now all have been rectified in the electronic era now. So the conferences, next is the conferences. Next to the publication in the scientific journals, conferences. So publication in the conference proceedings, I think, is a faster way, of course, but again it can be useful to disseminate the research findings, but the consideration compared to the scientific publication in journals, I think it is less. I think because why, there is no substantial the revision and no review before the publication. Whatever we give as a textorial form or in the embroidered form, and they will publish without the review of that one. So that will have only a less in terms of the consideration. So it will be give only a less prestigious than the journal publication, and but still it can be considered in terms of the publication. So come to the point of the scientific journals. There are indexed journals. I told you in the beginning there are two ways. One is indexed journals, another one is the non-indexed journals. So indexed journals are one, it has been, I think name itself is indicated that is indexed. It is indexed. So it is indexed journal for a manuscript that can be I think it's a very challenge. It's a very challenge to publish a paper in the indexed journals. So many factors are likely to influence the decision of a particular paper we communicate to an editor. So what we require is the careful consideration of the what I mentioned is the innovative work, innovative first-hand information about the research. So and then index, as I mentioned, where they are indexing. So indexing in terms of a database already available. If you publish a paper, it will goes to, if you have a indexed one, definitely any one of these index parameter, I think it will be published, and later it will very simply go to all the scientific workers who have been working in our field. So database, abstracts, index, all the same, and these are many journals are indexed in this. Number one, the chemical abstracts. So mostly the chemical related, or even many biochemical journals are comes under the chemical abstracts of that one. That will go to every nook and corner of the scientific world. And then georef, and then engineering index, and then zoological record, and then index medicus. So lot of the even PubMed. So lot of the database abstract indexes are now available for the journals which are having a high reputation, and that is called the indexed journals. So now I think you could see that when you look for a publication in a indexed journals, again in the indexed journals there are two important. The indexed one is the Scopus indexed journals, the high reputation. So only the particular journals have the high reputation among the scientific field is the Scopus indexed journals, and then ISI indexed journals. So these are the broad category of the indexed journals, and then this is most important. I think I appeal to all the participants here. I think you have to look into only the indexed journals before goes for the publication. Forget about the non-indexing journals that will not give any impact of your stature and your nature. So here the ISI, it means the International Scientific Indexing. So ISI indexed journals, those journals which are comes and worldwide and in distribution and dissemination, which comes under the International Scientific Indexing, and started from the even 1960 onwards, and Thomson Scientific and Healthcare in 1992, and it has been given a rename as a Thomson ISI journals. So these are the two types of the broad categories of the indexed journals. So here for indexed journals they are giving the number. So and before you go for the publication, you must see that whether a particular indexed journals have a number, a electronic code number, that is called International Standard Serial Number. That's called ISSN. So it is a 8-digit number including a check digit in an electronic digit and preceded by a alphabetic prefix we call ISSN. That will be in the network called ISSN network. Only the indexed journals, mostly I think 99.9% are having the serial number. I think you can see only particular journal having this ISSN number you can publish, otherwise you forget. So altogether these ISSN users are worldwide, and in every point of view that they have been using, the publishers are using the ISSN number of the journals, and then libraries are using, and then knowledge bases, archives, digitizers, postal service, subscription agencies, magazine distributors, union catalogs, and then barcoding. So these are all the various and variety of the ISSN users and users in the publication. And now there are two types of the indexing. One is the ISSN and another one is for the ISBN. What's the basic difference between ISSN and ISBN? I think when you look into a particular book, you can see that there is the electronic code of the number. So that is called the ISBN. You could see that there is a yellow mark, I think marked here, electronic. This is a particular book which I published in bioinformatics, barcoding, benefit sharing in biodiversity, which was authored by me. It has been published in a standard publisher having the ISBN number. So that means it goes to internationally and it will be published and it has a reputation. So what is the difference between ISSN and ISBN? ISSN is assigned individually to the scientists by the ISSN centers, and it has a central ISSN registered. Once you got a particular journal, you will be assigned a number, I think particular number of the 8-digit, and you can use it, and this will be a metadata, and whole the world of the ISBD will use this ISSN number. Even when you click of this number, you can see that the particular book is available or not, or it has been falsely quoted. Everything you can see through the ISSN number, index number. Next is the ISBN, and this ISBN is allocated only to the publishers. Earlier one individual, and this ISBN for the publishers, the book publishers. So publishers assign individual ISBN for a particular book, like my book here. No central ISBN registry like the earlier ISBD, and metadata not based on the library rules here. And these are the difference between ISSN and ISBN. Many of our colleagues, I think they didn't know even now, before publishing, that whether it has the ISSN or if it has a book, whether it has the ISBN number. So you have to take very careful before publishing of any of your findings, that whether particular journal has the ISSN or particular book has the ISBN, the number. So I think, as I mentioned, in the two indexed way, one is the Scopus. The Scopus is the largest abstract. It's a citation database. I think whatever the paper when we publish in a Scopus indexed journals, all will be, I think, in a database, and it will be reviewed by any nook and corner of the world. You could see that in a box of that one, a journal with ISSN number 0127339 is not indexed in Scopus. When you print it in the number of a particular book or a particular journal, it will appear that this particular article published in a particular journal, whether it is been stated in the Scopus index or not. You can see that. I think every scientist has to see that before going for the publication. You have to check that whether particular journal is Scopus index and through the directory. And then the Scopus content has to address the diversity of the needs of the altogether. One, I think the researcher what you used to claim, that I want to make sure that all the citations of all my papers are being captured through the index, through the Scopus. A research manager can say that, proclaim that I want to have a complete picture of the scientific output of my university or a country. A particular editor, I want to track hot topics and see how my article is doing. using by others. So similar way you can see a variety of the functions of the Scopus content for that. I think these are the way that how to select the publication and etc. in careful consideration of our the data publication. Then next, how to write a technical aspects. Many of our colleagues, the young colleagues, they used, as I mentioned earlier, they used to work. They used to work, as I mentioned, 26 hours, borrowing, as I mentioned, 2 hours from the next day. But they don't have access to even to communicate, even to write 2 sentences in English without any mistake is very difficult. We used to work. We used to work hard and everything in the laboratory, but we are, poor in the English, communication English. We know that, of course, these are not our local language or our the regional language or the Indian language, because the English is the foreign language. It's very difficult. So how to make a publication, how to make a manuscript, how to make in a technical way. So how to design for a writing of a publication, that itself is an art. So this way that I am giving just for information an example. So any publication of your area of the research, suppose you have been given, you wanted to publish your work, what you have been observed in the laboratory, it should be of a content 25 to 30 pages of ideal length of a manuscript should be submitted. And then what it should contains: a title page, then abstract. Abstract should be in a definite form, 1 paragraph. Introduction, 1.5 to 2 pages, and then methodology, I think 2 to 4 pages. The results and discussion, maximum 12 pages, 10 pages. Conclusion, in short, 1 to 2 pages. Figures, maximum 6 or 8, and then tables 1 to 3. Then references 25 to 50. So these are the way that we have to think of writing a manuscript, a publication. So in addition to that, suppose you want to make it a short publication or short communication, so this will not apply. I think there is no limitation for that. Even for that, you have to be very strict that maximum 3000 words of your whole the process. So the title is very, very important. So I think most of the editors, they used to attract only the titles. As I mentioned, even with the poor I think information inside that one, sometimes the catchy title will attract the editors, attract the your publishers to publish. So it indicates the content. The title should indicate the content and main discoveries and attracts the reader's attention and decides whether your article is worth reading or will not get the attention by the readers. So the title should be of the very attractive and catchy. So it must be very catchy. So graphics also most important, and here the most important factors that influence whether your manuscript will be considered or reviewed for publication are: number one, based on the title, based on your abstract, based on your the covering letter, and your reputation based on your previous work, what you have done earlier. So I think this must be very important. And conclusion. So for every paper there must be a short conclusion. The conclusion must be only in three phrases. In summary, what you observed from your result, point number one, in 1 or 2 sentences. And based on the findings, what you going to advocate, number 2. And number 3, and then based on that, what you are giving to the next generation or your peers of the scientists who are working on that. So what you are giving, I think the lead to the next, the followers of the scientific workers in your field. So conclusion should be that what you have been given to the knowledge of the next followers. So it should be in a short form, that too only in the maximum 5 to 7 sentences. 5 to 7 sentences in the 3 phrase of the words. So conclusions normally assignments do not, I think many of our friends used to say I think they used to repeat what they observed in the abstract. They used to copy the abstract of the work and then put it in the conclusion. Or sometimes what they conclude in the earlier one, they used to conclude that one. So provide normally a clear scientific justification for your work and indicate possible applications and extension of the work. That is most important. What you are going to give the way forward for the next generation who are following your own work if appropriate. So that is most important. So the conclusion is very much essential. So normally the publication is a teamwork. Then authors will submit the paper to the journal, and then journal editors will send to the reviewer, and then reviewer after careful reviewing will be back to the journal and they will communicate to the others. So I think it's all in a bidirectional way, that the tri-partnership of the journal editors, the reviewers and others always having a good publication, which always I used to say that is a teamwork. So look into the citation. When I mentioned earlier the quality of your paper, the quality of your paper is based on the citation. So the first place to look for an appropriate journal is the publication of your research article is your own citation list. Whether the publication of your work should be in the indexed. Index means Scopus indexed or ISI indexed. Okay, then the next, even in the indexed one, whether the particular journal has a citation. For that, what to be required for the journal, the importance of publishing always our work in a high impact factor journals. High impact factor journals. What? Publish or perish. Greater visibility of the research findings once you publish in your high impact factor journals, and increased chances of the citation by the others. So once you submit to a high citation journals, normally all scientific groups will look into that what you have done in your findings, and then greater recognition among the scientists, and then associated benefits such as what I mentioned, promotion, productivity, allowances and so on. So which manuscripts are published in the high impact factor? That is most important. All the preliminary base work will not, fundamental work will not normally. So it should be established work of the established scientist and the results of the general interest and novelty and the innovation. So the findings should be novelty and innovative and will be findings that will publish in the high impact factor journals, and then concise and well written in a simpler language. So I think here you could see that Newton, I think publishing in high impact factor journals means what? That means, as I mentioned, innovative, and it should be a very informative way. See the laws of gravity. I think the Isaac Newton, I think he sat under the tree and the apple tree, and he found that apple falling on the earth, and based on that he conceptualized a theory of the law of the gravity. So gravitational force attracts the fruit or the apple fruit to the earth, and that is the genesis of a greater theory which was by the Newton. So Newton's law. So it has a first one proved. So that's why it has been published in the high impact factor. What our group never do? Same way, instead of apple, see the other scientists, you can see that in the next para and the next photo you can see oranges or guava or any other fruit falling on the same way to the earth. Say they can claim that this is also like similar to that, and they will claim for the high impact factor. That will not publish, because already the law of gravity was proved by Sir Isaac Newton and not by the others, and it has been less impact. That's why I think it has been a low impact factor of the work. So altogether, what the index, the quality is based on what? The journal impact factor. What do you mean by the impact factor of a journal? Many of the young generation, they know that there are the impact factor journals. What do you mean by impact factor? The journal impact factor is the average number of times of articles from a particular journal published in the last 2 years and that have been cited in the JCR year. So how they are calculating? For example, the impact factor of a particular journal or a particular paper 2020 is equal to how they are calculating is a number of sites. Citation in 2020 to 2018 for 2 years and 2019 papers divided by papers published in 2018 and 2019. So this is the way, the simpler formula how they are calculating a journal impact factor of a particular article. In simpler way, I am telling you an impact factor of 1.0 or 1. It means what? That means the articles published 1 or 2 years ago have been cited only one time by the other scientist. So cited by only one time by another scientist or the followers of our work at one time, that means it has the impact factor 1. For example, an impact factor 2.5 means an average our own article published 1 or 2 years before have been cited 2.5 times by an author or by a followers. So is a number of times of article from the journal published in the last 2 years have been cited is called the journal impact factor. So why publish in the high impact factor journal? As I mentioned, it means your article has been chances of getting cited by many others, referred by many others. And then higher reading rate means your article get read by many more researchers. Your article is read by many researchers, then only you can have the high citation and more recognition in terms of the scholarly the contribution altogether. And then again to that, among the Scopus index, ISI or Scopus, whatever may be, and then publish in a high impact factor journals. And then how to identify the high impact the journals in your field. There are the journal citation reports are available from the Thomson, the Web of Science. You can go that, and this is the recent one. This is the recent one, 2020. They published the list of the the journals. What is their impact factor of every journals? I think the number I have given nearly the top the 35 papers, sorry, the journals. What is the impact factor of that one? So the highest one is the 292.278, that having a CAA Cancer Journal of Clinicians. So clinician, this journal has the highest impact factor, nearly 292. And then next is the New England Journal of Medicine. It has 74.699 of the citation. So similar way, see that our journal should be have here the number of the impact factor. So then only your research will be highlighted by the others. And this is only for the biological research. Similar way, for the arts and humanities also, the collection of the journals in the Oxford journals, the list, they recently they have been released. Even the 2021 for the next one they released now, and they have the collection in the alphabetic index with the citation of the every journal. So these are some of the highlights of the humanities collection, having the Oxford the collection of the citations. So I think we have to see that all the journals. So not all the articles in high impact the journals. Sometimes some journals may be published in Nature that has been not have been cited or have been referred by some other scientists, that have a less impact for that. That also have been sometimes maybe in the Nature. So these are the impact factor of that one. Here just I would like to mention one the episode, the story of Albert Einstein. Once Albert Einstein wanted to submit his paper to a journal, the physical review, and he submitted along with his co-author, and he has written, and naturally the editor of the particular journal, the physical review, he sent for the review to the anonymous reviewer, and later the anonymous reviewer sent back to the editor stating that there are some mistakes in the Albert Einstein's the concept in the proof in the paper, and later it has been communicated to the Albert Einstein. Albert Einstein, what he got irritated. Why you sent my findings? Why you sent my original findings to anonymous author who have not known ABCD of my work? And I think he got annoyed, and he returned. What he returned is, he mentioned here, dear sir, that means dear editor, we, and then my Einstein and my Rosen and myself had sent to you our manuscript for publication, and had not authorized you to show it to a specialist before it is printed, before it been published. So I see no reason to address dash dash dash. I think he mentioned that is erroneous. I think comments of your anonymous expert. On the basis of this incident, he got annoyed and mentioned that I prefer to publish the paper elsewhere, not in the physical review. Of course, I mentioned about the review, the stupid review of that one. He mentioned, in fact, the referee's criticism was correct. It is originally correct by that, but later Einstein realized that mistake. He recognized the error, and he rectified the error and published in another journal. So that was a different with a different conclusion. So this all, I think the anonymous reviewer is a must for every paper. Whatever the comments have been given, but we have to rectify, because that will go to the public. So these are the different measures. I think lot of the impact factor journals are available. Naturally, the life sciences are having more in terms of the impact factor journals than the journals in the world, and this is number one, is the impact factor. Similar way, a lot of the quality parameter have been assessed based on the journal immediacy index. So it's also have been calculated recently now. So how they are calculating is the number of citations in the current year of a particular paper divided by number of articles in the current year. So this was calculated in the journal immediacy index. It's also have been now in focus. That means an immediacy index that's equal to 1 means an average. The article in the journal have been cited only one time within the same year. So in the same year it has been published, it has been cited by only 1 year. So that is expressed in the journal immediacy index. Is also now been taken consideration of the quality of the particular paper. And then journal cited half-life also is there. It helps to evaluate the average age range of the articles cited from the journal, as we mentioned. And now 5-year impact factor journal also have been calculating now, instead of 1 year or 2 years. Now based on the 5-year reputation of a particular paper quoted in all consecutive 5 years, also been carried out for calculation of the impact factors. That is called the 5-year impact factor. And also there, I think anyone, you can go into a particular journal, you can see all these parameters. What is the immediacy factor, what is the 5-year impact factor, what is the impact factor, everything is, I think now they are mentioning. You can very well see that. So same way that, and then based on that, now they are calculating H index. So this is very, very important. I think just some 5-7 years before, the Department of Science and Technology calculated the H index, which I think is the name of a scientist, we call as a Dr. George E. Hilrich, and he has identified the number, the index, and based on his name it was given the H index. And the DST has calculated the H index of every university, and based on the total cumulative H index of a particular the university, they are given the grant. They are given the extra grant for that. And I think Madurai Kamaraj University also got some grant through the highest grade of the H index. We got it, and based on the publication of the faculties in the various departments of the School of Biological Sciences, School of Chemical Sciences, and then School of the Physics, and so on. So this H index accounts for the researcher's body of the work. I think without the influence of the other factors, based on the calculation of the impact factor. So based on the calculation of the impact factor, so that's why it has given H index or the Hirsch index or Hirsch number. So what it measures? The H index measures both the productivity and impact of the published work of a particular researcher or a particular the scientist. So that this H index is based on the set of a scientist's most cited papers and the number of citations. How many cited papers he has, and you could, when you go to the Google Scholar research, Google Scholar search, you can go that and you can see and then print a particular scientist of your own or even your own. You can print your name and it will illustrate how many papers have been so far you have published, and then what is the citation and what is the impact of that one, and then what is your the H index. That's all will focus in that, and this will again focus on the the citation of your work. I think here the graph which shows that in a particular way that 20 papers have been cited by 20 times or more. It shows the Hirschman index or the H index. So I think just for example, in 2013 I have calculated my H index. I think you could see that it's been taken from the home page of the Google Scholar, the citation, and I think my name is here, and then all these papers of all my paper publications have been indexed here, and then how many of them have been cited by, and then here all has been mentioned. In 2014-15 I could see that nearly 2351 citations from my publications. My H index is 25 that time, and then I-10 index is 53. So this will prove that how many times of the citation, how many have been cited, and what based on the citation how we are calculating the H index and then I-10 values. So similar way, this all will speak the scientific the caliber of a particular individual. So based on that we can calculate the citation index of a particular person and how many times of the his paper or her paper have been cited in a year. And then your paper suppose is worthless if no one reads, uses or cites is, I think submitting a paper is a wasteful process. That means your reputation will go off, and then I think your proof of any concept or a theory is not of a particular standard. So similar way, the quality of the paper is also have been indexed in a source normalized impact factor, is also been now calculated, is called the SNF, the index impact factor is there, and then we also now calculating the S Imago and the journal rank SGR. This is all way we used to see that SGR journals are there, and we can calculate the number of the citation, etc. So in a particular, suppose you want to know a particular journal, for example the process biochemistry, and for that it has given the journal matrix, the quality of the particular journal they have given that, and then what is the source of the normalized impact factor they have given, and the journal, the HJR, the number, and then impact factor, and then 5-year impact factor. I think you can see that every point of the quality of the particular journal and then quality of the particular paper, everything you can see in a particular journal before you publish, all have been indexed in the either in the Scopus index or the ISI, the group of the journal, the Thomson groups. So what makes a good manuscript? It contains a scientific message. It contains a scientific message. That message should be clear, useful and exciting. So a good manuscript make the readers, especially the reviewers and editors, grasp the scientific significance as easily as possible. So that is the writing a good manuscript is not easy. Be prepared to work hard on how to prepare a good manuscript. So normally what we used to get information in those days, an international editor always say that the papers from the third world countries or paper from the underworld countries, or what they mention is submission of the papers which are clearly out of scope. We used to send to the particular journal editor, they used to mention these points, they used to tick, and then next they will make the tick failure to format the paper according to the guidelines of the journal, and then inappropriate or no suggested reviewers. We have to suggest the reviewers who are working in the field. If not, that means we don't have any authenticity of the paper or the person who are working in the field. Inadequate response to the reviewers. Sometimes we used to send our papers to the reviewers, they may not respond. And an inadequate standard of the English. I think this is the most important. I want everyone needs to receive for that resubmission of rejected manuscripts within the revision. So these are all some of the comments we used to receive from the international editors. Okay, next point is where to publish. What do you mean by the print journals, e-journals and print journals? I think now I think we must be very careful here. I am appealing to all the researchers here. I think my general opinion, my general suggestion, even you can say that it's my advice, don't go for the paid payment, the e-journals. I think they used to attract you within 48 hours, 24 hours. They call you that your paper will be published, I think without any editing, without any the reviewing, and they used to publish your paper based on the amount. 2500 within 48 hours, 5000 rupees within 12 hours, all will publish. I think don't waste your time, because all these type of these journals are not comes under the Scopus, either Scopus or ISI, and doesn't have the impact factor. Even in the impact factor nowadays, many of the journal groups are fake journals groups. They are making that so many the indexing impact factors. We don't know, even they have coined many impact factor, and then they used to give that impact factor. So I think when you say impact factor, it is only to the Scopus indexed and then ISI. So I think you have to be very careful when you go for the publication in a payment journal. I think you are wasting your time, you are wasting your reputation. Even suppose you have very good publication, one or two in your career, that also reputation will goes off because of a single publication in a payment journal. So I think e-journals nowadays is a flourishing like anything, but e-journal, I think with having indexed in the Scopus etc., you have to go for the publication. Otherwise, I think you will not get the reputation for your work. So what is the merits of the e-journals? Easily accessible, online submission, online editing, time saving, on-spot access. It can download your articles, but you must careful to see that without the payment. And demerits also there. Sometimes non-availability of the full text, subscription they will ask, poor quality, no perpetual access, cannot read at your leisure, continuity of the content is disturbed, problems in the downloading. So these are the problems of the e-journals. Of course, the print journals are the earlier one. It has both merits and demerits, but it's easily accessible. Personalized copy, legibility, no dependency, can read at your leisure, and then no need of the link and continuity. And it has own the limitations also. I think my appeal to all the younger generations that publish only in the journals having the Scopus cited impact factor journals. So and next is I think here I would like to mention that even UGC has been very frequently sending the circulars and communications to all the higher education institutions, including colleges and universities, our scientific misconduct. That means we used to fabricate, falsificate, plagiarist of the papers. So this is a very serious view nowadays. That's why the UGC has given a mandate to every thesis submitted to a university before go for the for the submission. It should be thorough check of the plagiarism software, and then the plagiarism, I think the percentage also they given that there should be less than 15%, less than 15% for the thesis, and then less than 10% for the journal publication. I think now softwares are available in every library, even the open softwares are available, and before publishing of any paper, go for the your plagiarism checkup, and then you send your publication. Otherwise, again, your reputation and then your institution reputation, everything will goes off. And then here the scientific misconduct is, I think, is most careful to see that before publishing. So the misconduct is the one very serious view in the scientific group. Even very recently, I'm telling you, very recently, a lot of the leading Indian the laboratories. I don't want to mention the name and the institution, and then I mean the laboratory. I think they have been constantly, they are publishing the paper in a particular journal, copying the others' data and publishing, and they are getting the reputation because the government of India, the Ministry of Science and Technology has given a mandate for every scientist to publish at least this many number of papers for their career promotion and then also for other thing. So to avoid that one and then to get that one, what they are making and publishing all someone's data in a reputed journal, and finally with the help of the plagiarism, I think they have checked that a particular scientist who worked in a leading in an institute of the India, he was caught. So not only that, many of them are doing this. I think the misuse, I can say that is only misuse, and then do not do all those things. And then again, do not repeat the others result also, or do not copy the others result also, and even do not copy the exact phrase of the someone's words in the journal publication. That's why they have mentioned is scientific misconduct, plagiarism, self plagiarism. Even our own paper published earlier content should not be copied again, should not be make it in our own publication in the future. Okay, so even they say we see self copying of our own data or even our own phrase sentence, that should not be done, and it should also be avoided for that. That is also, it will leads to the plagiarism percentage for that. Then author copyright issues, very much careful to see that. And then duplication of a publication is very important, either by the author or fault of the publisher, and then unintentional errors, all should be very careful. So before publishing of any paper, you must see that this is most important, what to be done, what not should be done. Okay, what not should be done should be most important than the what to be done. So plagiarism, as I mentioned, using the ideas or words of another person without giving appropriate credit. That will all fall. I think now the software will, even a single word will identify of the others paper. I think you cannot escape from this. So self plagiarism, the verbatim copying or reuse of our own research in the earlier paper. So in both are the plagiarism are considered to be the unacceptable practice by most of the scientific publication. That is most important. So these are the important one, and other types of the ethical violations, and then publish and perish, and then you have to be very careful, and we should not break the ethical rules of the international scientific publication of the any paper. So all these things we have to handle very careful, and I'm telling you just for quoting example, and even I think our own the great scientist has been caught. I think you could see that Indian Science Advisor is a great advisor, caught up in plagiarism. He got by the plagiarism in 2012. Not intentionally he did, but his students. Even that also we have to very careful before our students, our research scholars submitting some paper. We have to read carefully, and it is our responsibility of a guide to check the plagiarism percentage, and then see that I think he missed that one, and because his students misbehavior, and he was caught among the in the international way, and he got the reputation, and so he got the I think less reputation of the scientific. So he was got because of the plagiarism, the papers, and then many work. Even I would like to mention here one original paper. This is the original paper of the figure they mentioned. It was published in a particular journal of physics and chemistry in 2006 published. This is the original figure of a particular one who did work in the laboratory. Later same was copied by someone is a plagiarist paper, and instead of putting the what the nanoscale of the intensity, he put it in the other direction, and then also instead of putting 2 theta, he has given in the other unit, in the 20 Armstrong unit. Instead of putting intensity, he has put intensity with AU. So I think he made some manipulation in the graph, and they did, and this later it was found that even the paper, even the figure, even and the photos, even any illustration can be checked by the plagiarist software. And similarly also you could see that in the right direction they have mentioned both the photographs are the same, and original paper in the top they mentioned the unit is 20 nanometer scale of a particular the crystal, and the same way what they mentioned, they copied one and they changed the direction. Instead of the unit mentioned here, you put the figure name A and same work, and then instead of the 20 nanometer scale he mentioned the 50 nanometer, so almost the same. So later it was found, and the plagiarist paper was been rejected, and he was punished also. So I think we have to be very careful, and everywhere, and then before publication, and we must check the plagiarism. So citations are there, and I think read the work before you cite. Read the work before you cite. Even a sentence before you write, you have to rephrase it. Rephrase it, not verbatim of the original word, and important to cite the work correctly and completely. And for that, so what we require, the publication will give you a high. Every year our Nobel Prize was given based on the publication. Based on the publication. Just for example, I am giving a Nobel Prize winner of the 2014 was honored based on the work he published, both in the chemistry paper, let's say the chemistry paper of his own in the ACS publication, and then also in the elsewhere publication. So altogether, whether you want to get a Nobel Prize or Bhatnagar Award, any award, or Best Scientist Award, or Lifetime Achievement Award, all will speak only on what you have contributed in the publications. So the publication is very much essential, and it is very much also important for everyone who want to have a career in the academic arena. And I think our colleagues here, you are young here, and then you have to learn a lot from this, and how to publish a paper in a scientific journal, and how to get the citation, how to get the reputation in a quality way, all you have to bear in mind. So I think this will be a lesson to everyone, and be careful and take care of everything before go for the publication. And I request you to again you publish your innovative work, you publish your new work, and you publish your recent work which have not have been worked by the others. Don't duplicate, don't fabricate, and don't get plagiarist of the others one. And so be yourself, and then prove yourself, and which having a high reputation in the scientific arena. This, I thank you everyone for patient hearing. Thank you all.